Hello everyone, Dr. Stephen Mujay here, and we are in week 4, and I wanted to explain one of the assignments that you have, the file and print sharing assignment. And in this assignment, you are going to be creating some folders on your server and then jumping on the workstation and map them so that the client or the user can see those shared folders. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be explaining. But before I do that, there are some things that I want to point out. At this time, or let me go to Server Manager. In Server Manager, at this point, you have installed some roles: Active Directory Domain Services, DNS, DHCP, File and Storage Services. Those should be installed already. We covered those in previous weeks. All right, so that now that those roles are added and they are running, you need to do something else. And that something else is to bring in a workstation so that it can join Active Directory. All right, so in Active Directory, we have also added some users and groups. You can see some of my groups that I have created, like IT students. You can see some students that I have added. In here, I've also created myself as a user. You can see this username, this account. That's what I'm going to be using. So now that the server is up and running, on your virtual machine, you'd need to bring in a client machine. I have Windows 10 running. You can see this Windows 10. After I installed that Windows 10, I did go and join the domain. So this has already joined the domain, and I have logged in with those credentials with the username and password, and I was able to connect to that network. All right, so since those things are taken care of, what I'm going to do is well, the ultimate goal on this client, if you take a look right now, if I go to PC, there are no mapped drives. Right now, you can see that this is my server. This client is part of that server, but there are no mapped drives as of right now. So what I'm going to be doing is to walk through the process of mapping those drives. Okay, so jumping back on the server, there are two ways that you can do. You can create shared folders. We have done that in previous weeks. I can go to the local disk C, and on local disk C, I am going to create a folder here. So let's see, I'm going to click New. This is the simple way of doing it. And then I'm going to type in week, abbreviation for week 4 reports. All right, that's the folder that I have created. We did cover that last week. Then what I'm going to do, I'll right click that folder. It's important, I'm on the local disk C on the server. I'm going to right click that and then share. You can share it with specific people. You can share it with everyone. So if you click the drop down arrow, you can share it with everyone. That's not what I'm going to do. That's simple. You can do that in your assignments. You can find people. I'm going to share it with IT students. I'll go to check names. So instead of sharing it with individuals, I did put some users into that group. So now that is shared with IT students. These are their rights, their permissions, I should say. I'll give them the read and write, and then I'll click share. All right, so that I have created that share. You can see the path. This is the server name, Mujaya server, and it's week 4 reports. So that has been created. This folder has been shared. There is a second way of sharing, and that second way you need to go through Server Manager. In Server Manager, I'm going to go into File, into that row that should be already installed, the file and storage services. And while I'm here, you can see my server is highlighted. And then I do have, I'll go to share, shares, and then under shares, you can see these are the shares that I currently have on this server. All right, I'll right click and then go to new share. And then this is probably the way you want to go. There are different options in terms of the file share profile. There's the SMB share, the advanced SMB share applications, but basically the SMBs, those are with Windows-based computers. The NFS, this is where you have Unix-based computers. We are also covering Unix in this class, but we'll simply go with the SMB share since we are doing this in the Windows environment. So I'll click next. There is the server, there is the volume there. It's pretty small, but that will work for this assignment. And then I'll click next. Then for the share name, this one, I'm going to give it the name DB post for discussion post. There is the full path. You can see it down below here. And I can type in a description, discussion board postings, and then I'll click next. On here, you can, this is the first option here is really important. You can enable access-based enumeration. What this does is it will give access, you can see here, access-based enumeration displays only the files and folders that a user has permission to access. So if I have a budget folder and that's shared with the finance people, if I only want the finance people to see that share, I will click this. It will automatically take off that folder or that file from other people. And this is probably the good way to go in when you are setting up your shares. That way, if you have a payroll folder, you are not tempting people to click on it and see what's in there. Yes, they may not have the permissions to view, but they can see it. But if you enable this access-based enumeration, it will prevent them from seeing it at all. So that's a good option to select, especially when you have sensitive folders that you don't want any person to be able to see on your network. All right, so I'll click next, and then these are the permissions that are set. You can see everyone full control. You can customize them, the permissions, but for the interest of time, I'm just going to click next, and then this is a summary, and then that share has been completed. I'll click close. Now you can see I have the DB post that I created that's showing on here, you know, along with the other one that I had created. So that's one of the other options. I do like setting quotas, but we are not discussing that. You can give them like 1 gigabyte. Each user will have up to whatever amount of space you specify. All right, so after you do that, you should be able to jump on your client and map those shares. But before you do that, there's something that I want to highlight. Make sure you go to the network sharing center and go to change advanced settings. You want to make sure that for the domain, the turn on network discovery is selected. Same thing with file and printer sharing. You may be in situations where you try to click it and to click turn on network discovery. When you get off, it goes to being turned off. If you experience that problem, go into administrative tools and then go to component services. There are 4 services from there that you want to make sure that they are running. And those 4 services, I'm just going to point them up real quick. The first one is DNS client. You can see that DNS client is enabled, it's running. You want to make sure that it's running. Otherwise, if it's not running, you are not going to be able to map your share. The second one is function discovery resource publication. I may have passed it. Function resource discovery resource publication. This one, you want to make sure that it's running. If it's not running, you can right click and then start it. That will start it. The last 2 are a little bit tricky. That's SSDP. This one, SSDP discovery. You may have it as disabled, as not running automatic. If that is the case, you right click, you go to properties, make sure under the startup type, you select automatic and then start it. That service has to start in order for sharing to work. The last one is app and app device host. You want to make sure that this service is running as well. Once you ensure that those are running, and then in network discovery, you ensure that turn on network discovery is on, then it's now time to jump on your client. And on your client, you should be able to see your server at that point. So if I go on here, this is my network. I'll right click and then map network folder. I'm going to give the first one, I'll assign it the letter P. I usually assign that for the public folder, but that's all right. I'll click browse, and under browse, notice these are the shared folder. The first one that I'm going to do is I'm going to go with DB posts. I'll click that and then OK, or you can double click it. You can either browse or you can type this path and then I'll click finish. So that one has been mapped. Now this is the mapped folder on the client. I'm going to close it. Make sure that the user that you test with has permissions to that folder. Seems like, it seemed like my PC has something has gone wrong here. It has frozen. But if I were to, okay, it's coming back up again. I have a 15-minute window to record this. Windows Explorer is still not ready. But if I were to get back into Windows Explorer at this time, that's coming back. All right, so here we go. If I go into Windows Explorer, all right, and then under this PC, notice I'll click this PC. Notice that DB post is shared. So this user can browse to this shared folder as if they are on the server. They can do whatever they need to do, granted that they have the right permissions. All right, so this is the process of sharing folders. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you and God bless you.